You cannot fully become who you are meant to be while secretly dragging the corpse of who you used to be. That sounds harsh, but many people are doing exactly that every single day. They wake up determined to become better, stronger, wiser, more healed. But underneath all that ambition is an invisible emotional tether to an older version of themselves. A failed version. A wounded version. A version that made mistakes, trusted the wrong people, chose the wrong path, stayed too long, quit too early, or simply became someone they no longer recognize. And even though life has moved forward, part of them has not. Part of them is still standing in the ruins of what happened, replaying it, revisiting it, negotiating with it, trying to somehow rewrite what cannot be rewritten. This is one of the most exhausting forms of emotional labor because it is invisible. No one sees it. People may even compliment your progress. They may tell you how far you've come. They may celebrate your resilience. But internally, you feel a strange heaviness. You feel like you are moving, but not freely. Growing, but not lightly. Succeeding, but not peacefully. It feels as though something is following you. That something is often the unresolved grief of your former self. Most people think grief only belongs to death. They associate mourning with the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or the disappearance of something external. But one of the deepest forms of grief is identity grief, the pain of losing a version of yourself. The student you once were, the spouse you once were, the believer you once were, the dreamer you once were, the child you once were, the person you thought you would become. When that version dies, through failure, heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, trauma, or transformation, there is often no funeral, no ritual, no acknowledgement. Life expects you to simply continue. So you do. You keep working, keep smiling, keep trying, keep performing. But the unburied identity remains. And what is unburied often haunts. This is why some people feel emotionally stuck despite obvious growth. They are living in two timelines at once. One part of them is trying to inhabit the present. Another part is mentally living inside an alternate reality where the past turned out differently. What if I had stayed? What if I had left sooner? What if I had chosen differently? What if I had not failed? What if I had been smarter? What if I had known then what I know now? This is what psychologists might call counterfactual thinking. But emotionally, it feels like ghost shipping. You are mentally investing in a version of life that never happened. And every ounce of energy spent living there is energy unavailable to your present self. That is the hidden drain. You are not only carrying your current life, you are carrying the imagined life too. No wonder you feel tired. No wonder success feels muted. No wonder joy feels incomplete. Part of you is still grieving, but because you have not named it as grief, you keep treating it like a problem to solve instead of a wound to honor. This is where healing begins. Not by fixing the past, but by mourning it. That sounds counterintuitive because many people think mourning means weakness. They think grief keeps them stuck. But the opposite is true. Avoided grief keeps you stuck. Processed grief sets you free. You do not need to rewrite your old story. You need to bury it with dignity. That does not mean pretending it never happened. It means honoring what it taught you, honoring what it cost you, honoring what it changed in you, and then releasing it. Imagine trying to build a new house while refusing to leave the ruins of the old one. That is what many people do psychologically. They want a new identity while emotionally camping inside an old collapse. Transformation cannot fully happen there. At some point, there must be a goodbye, a real one. Not a casual one, a deliberate one, a conscious one. A moment where you say, that version of me did the best they could with what they knew. That version of me survived things I no longer need to survive. That version of me made mistakes that became my education. That version of me deserves compassion. And that version of me is allowed to rest. This is not self-rejection. It is self-honoring. Too many people shame their past selves. They speak about who they used to be with contempt. How could I be so foolish? How could I tolerate that? How could I let that happen? But shame does not heal identity. Compassion does. Your former self was not your enemy. Your former self was your teacher. Your former self carried you here. Yes, imperfectly. Yes, painfully, but faithfully. Even your mistakes carried data. Even your failures delivered information. Even your regrets contain wisdom. That version of you deserves gratitude, not lifelong punishment. This is the successor mindset. Instead of viewing your past self as an embarrassment, you begin viewing them as an ancestor, a generous ancestor, someone who lived through difficulty, so your current self could inherit knowledge. They made the errors so you could carry the lesson. They absorbed the impact so you could gain the insight. They are not a burden, they are a predecessor. And when you understand that, grief changes. It becomes less about shame and more about honor. But before new identity fully stabilizes, there is often a difficult phase, the void. This is the neutral zone. The old you is gone. The new you is not fully embodied. You feel uncertain, unclear, unanchored. This is where many people panic. They rush back to old habits, not because they want them, but because familiarity feels safer than emptiness. The old relationship, the old coping mechanism, the old self-talk, the old people-pleasing, the old hustle, the old avoidance. Why? Because emptiness feels scary. But emptiness is not failure. Emptiness is sacred space. It is where reconstruction happens. Think of a house being renovated. Before the new walls go up, the old ones come down. And for a while it looks worse, messier, exposed, unfinished. That is what emotional rebuilding feels like. You are not broken. You are under construction. The danger is interpreting the mess as regression. It is not regression, it is transition. Stay there long enough and something remarkable happens. Silence becomes less threatening. Solitude becomes less lonely. You stop reaching for distractions. You begin listening. And in that listening, you hear your actual self more clearly. Not the performance self. Not the apology self. Not the survival self. The authentic self. The one that was always there beneath the coping mechanisms. This is where your future begins. Not with achievement, with integration. Integration means your internal identity finally catches up with your external reality. You stop saying things like, I can't believe I did that. I'm still not that person. I don't deserve this. I'm not ready. Those are the language patterns of an outdated self-schema. They tether you backward. They keep your nervous system loyal to old pain. New identity requires new language. I am becoming. I trust my growth. I honor what was. I release what no longer serves me. I choose who I am becoming. Words matter because the brain listens. Your nervous system believes what you repeatedly tell it. So stop narrating your life from the perspective of your wounds. Start narrating it from the perspective of your healing. And then begin making decisions accordingly. Not based on your 2025 apologies. Based on your 2027 values. Ask yourself, what would the healed version of me choose? What would the integrated version of me tolerate? What would the future version of me prioritize? What would the peaceful version of me protect? What would the confident version of me decline? Then act from that place. Identity is not built through thinking alone. It is built through repeated embodied choices. Each boundary says, I am different now. Each healthy habit says, I am different now. Each honest conversation says, I am different now. Each refusal to self-abandon says, I am different now. Eventually, your body believes it. Your mind believes it. Your relationships reflect it. And your life begins matching your healing. This is when breathing feels easier. Not because life became simple, because you stopped carrying emotional dead weight. You stopped dragging your old identity into every room. You stopped introducing yourself through your regrets. You stopped defining yourself by your worst moment. You let the old version rest. And suddenly there is room. Room for joy. Room for peace. Room for confidence. Room for possibility. Room for self-trust. This is the gift of mourning. It makes space, and without space, transformation suffocates. So if you feel heavy today, ask yourself, what version of me am I still carrying? Who am I still trying to apologize for? What past version of myself am I refusing to bury? What grief have I mislabeled as failure? What ending have I never truly honored? Your healing may begin there, not in doing more, not in proving more, in grieving honestly. Because grief is not backward movement. It is emotional completion. It is closure. It is release. It is permission. And on the other side of that permission is freedom. The freedom to stop rehearsing your old mistakes. The freedom to stop reliving your old shame. The freedom to stop negotiating with your past. The freedom to fully inhabit the person you are becoming. Your best self does not require perfection. It requires closure. So let today be the funeral. Say goodbye. Honor the old version. Thank them. Bless them. Release them. And then walk forward. Lighter, clearer, more whole. No longer haunted. No longer split. No longer apologizing for existing. Just present. Just alive. Just becoming. And that is enough. Mind care is self-care. Heal your mind. Honor yourself. Live whole. Your past self was never meant to be your permanent residence. It was a chapter, not your address. Honor what it taught you, release what it cost you, and trust the person you are becoming. Your healing begins the moment you stop carrying who you were and finally allow yourself to fully become who you are.